Today I'm going to save you from an absurd debate, ChatGPT Images versus Nano Banana Pro. OpenAI has released GPT Image 1.5, claiming it's up to 4 times faster, edits precisely, follows instructions better, and maintains details between generations. And here's the problem. Benchmarks might say ChatGPT wins, but you and I live in the real world where I just wanted to change one thing turns into half the photo being altered or completely ignored. In this video, I'll run 7 real-world tests and give you a simple 10-second rule to choose the right model without going crazy. So stick around till the end, because we're going to settle this debate once and for all in this video. Alright, what is GPT Image 1.5 and why does this matter? If you go into ChatGPT now, the image feature is no longer just an extra add-on. There's a new, more direct image experience, more choose, style, and shoot. And the default model becomes this one, GPT Image 1.5. The official promise in plain human terms is simple: faster, more obedient with instructions, better local editing, delivers what you ask for, better text that doesn't look like hieroglyphics. And this, if true, changes the game, because the problem with many image models isn't artistic quality, it's reliability. Being able to say change this, and have only that change. Now, let's get to the tests. We're going to run 7 tests that determine if this AI is actually useful for your work. Before moving to the tests, I'll leave a free ebook in the description so you can generate your own images in both ChatGPT and Nano Banana, so check it out. You'll definitely find it interesting. Because here, there's no glamour, just real life. A slow tool isn't slightly worse, it's that you stop using it altogether. The first thing I look at is this: can you keep working while it generates, or do I have to stare at an animation like it's a washing machine? With GPT Image 1.5, the feeling is finally, this feels usable. And while sometimes Nano Banana is lightning fast, what matters is the overall experience. If the workflow lets you create more, you end up creating more. Speed improvement isn't about bragging, it's about your brain saying, let's try another test instead of just feeling too lazy to bother. Obviously, there's been a change and now it's faster, which is great. But now comes the serious part, whether it actually listens to me or not. And this is where many models cheat. They give you something pretty, but not what you asked for. I use tests with weird constraints because that's how you see if the model truly listens or just interprets. The first prompt will be: create a vertical museum-style poster with a white background, a closed umbrella in the center, a small sign on the left saying "Do not touch" with an accent and all caps, a circular stamp in the top right saying "Archive 1986 by," and then the umbrella can't touch any text. Everything must stay within margins. This seems simple until the model decides "Do not touch" looks better without an accent or moves elements around as decoration. This is where ChatGPT Image 1.5 comes in. They promise more reliability, and when it works, you can tell because it respects positions, margins, and text. The typical failure is the model optimizing for aesthetics at the expense of your instructions. If it happens a little, you can live with it, but if it happens a lot, you go back to Nano Banana. If it follows instructions with objects, the next final boss is long text. Here I don't want art, I want utility. I'm going to ask it to generate a realistic photo of an office desk with a tablet turned on. On the screen, a product sheet with a large warranty guide title, and below it, a list with 6 bullet points, each with a short phrase in Spanish with accent marks. At the bottom, a legal note in small print that can be read without distortion. Why are we doing this in Spanish? Because obviously doing it in English, which is the language this model was primarily trained on, is too easy. So we're going to challenge the model. If the text turns out well, this works for mockups, ads, presentations, covers, interfaces, things that were a nightmare before. ChatGPT Image 1.5 is really strong here. When it nails the text, it's incredibly useful. Nano Banana has also improved a lot, but the critical question is, can you understand it at first glance, or do you need to zoom in and pray? When the text is legible, the model stops being an image generator and becomes a content creator. And now comes the point where many models break down: local editing. This is the test that determines if you'll use it daily. In this photo, we're going to ask the following in the prompt. Change only the color of the red notebook to navy blue. Don't change the lighting, angles, hands, or any other objects. Keep exactly the same shadows. Typically, the model will do one of 2 things. It either changes the notebook but also changes the table, lighting, and everything else, or it changes it somewhat but invents new texture. Nano Banana is famous for a reason. It's usually very good at making minimal changes. GPT Image 1.5 promises the same and often delivers, but the danger comes when the model gets excited and reinterprets things. So let's see what the result was. What do you think? If a model changes things you didn't ask for, it's not a small flaw. It's a breach of trust. Without trust, there's no workflow. And if instead of one edit you make a chain of 5, the truth emerges about how you actually use it, starting with something and gradually developing it into a final piece. Let's create an original prompt. In the first message, I'm going to ask it to create an editorial-style illustration of a train station on a rainy day. Then, in a second step, without changing the composition, turns the scene into sunset. In a third step, without changing characters or positions, change to watercolor style. The fourth step is to add a small, legible sign that says exit. And the fifth step is remove just the main character's umbrella without touching anything else. This is where many models break down. They forget step 2, skip step 4, or simply delete what you asked for in step 1. They change the camera, everything. The style change, from night to day or to a starry night. Here, ChatGPT and Image 1.5 have an interesting advantage. They better maintain the thread of what you're doing. Nano Banana often keeps details well, but in long chains it might revert to a previous version or lose conditions. Anyway, it's as simple as taking that image you already modified and creating a new chat so the AI doesn't lose track, resetting the conversation tokens and making it easier for the tool to work on the specific task you requested. Or you could just include everything in your first prompt message, which would be the smarter approach, right? If the model remembers the goal, it helps you, but if it forgets, you have to redo your work. So there's a classic challenge: make it photorealistic, and that's where many fail. This is really the nightmare of image generation. You upload a render, a sketch, some odd screenshot, and ask for a realistic photo. Let's ask it to convert this living room sketch into a realistic real estate photo, maintaining the exact layout, adding realistic texture to walls and floor, and ensuring the lamps have believable anchor points. Here we see major flaws, floating objects, outlined contours, toy-like items. In this type of transformation, Nano Banana usually flexes its muscles. GPT Image 1.5 sometimes gives a more coherent overall image, but doesn't quite cross the line into looking like a real photo. The difference between looking real and being a photo isn't aesthetic, it's credibility. And in real estate, that's everything. Now let's move to the final test: styles, languages, and crowds, where the demos get nervous. The world is messy, weird styles, multiple languages, many faces. Here I'm setting 3 traps: a very specific style, text in multiple languages, and crowds with many faces. So the prompt will be: design a minimalist airport sign with salidas in Spanish at the top, departures in English below, and a third line in French. Everything aligned with correct accents and using the same typography. And I'm going to create another one where I'll ask it to generate a photo scene of a night market. There should be many people, but without repeated faces. At least 6 people must be doing different actions: haggling, laughing, checking phones, carrying bags. This is where limitations often appear. In multilingual settings, accents break or the model mixes up letters. In crowds, features get duplicated or look uncanny. With styles, sometimes the model chooses a look it prefers rather than what you requested. And this is a key point worth repeating. Nano Banana tends to be more versatile with styles. GPT Image 1.5 might be more coherent overall, but not always as adaptable. When a model gives you a beautiful but uncontrollable image, it's good for play. When it gives you control, it's useful for production. And here's the final rule: no drama. I either need surgical control of details or I need the scene to hold up during a long conversation. Well, use ChatGPT Image 1.5 when you need readable text in mockups, posters, screens, or cards. If you want to iterate step by step with the model maintaining your goal, or if you need speed and a more conversational ChatGPT workflow for creation. And it might be a tie between ChatGPT Image 1.5 and Nano Banana when making simple local edits, when redoing an attempt or 2 is fine, when you're after aesthetic appeal rather than precise accuracy, and when small unexpected changes don't matter. So when should you definitely use Nano Banana Pro? You'll need it when serious photorealism is required, from renders to complex sketches, when minimal changes in local edits matter, like changing a notebook's color, and when you want highly varied styles and need the model to be adaptable like a chameleon. And now the key detail: there's no best model, only the best model for a specific task. If I had to sum it up in one sentence, GPT Image 1.5 is a huge leap in usability and text handling compared to its previous version. But that doesn't take away from Nano Banana still being excellent at fine control, styles, and complex transformations. So now it's your turn. In your use case, which one wins? Comment below, share your opinion, tell me how you use them, and remember there's a guide in the description for generating images with ChatGPT and Nano Banana. Thank you so much for your support. Remember, these videos are manually edited by me, and the scripts are also written by me, so subscribe to keep supporting this content.